Hey guys, here with another weekly draft video here on the Need to Hone Magic channel. We're here for some more Battle for Zendikar. I'll see you when the first pack opens. Alright, looks like our pack is about to open. Veteran War Leader. It's a pretty good gold card as far as gold cards go, but not one I want to be taking with my first pick, because it locks you into two colors. The nice thing about it is it's good really in basically any deck that's creature heavy. It needs allies to be even better, but it's like Scion of the Wild, a card that was recently reprinted in Modern Masters. If you don't have that, its power and toughness is equal to the number of creatures you control. But I'd probably take Eldrazi Sky Spawner here. Other notable cards in the pack, Sky Spawner is really good, are probably Malakir Familiar, which I think sometimes is actually right to take with the first pick. Like if Eldrazi Sky Spawner weren't here, replace it with some other, I don't know, something mediocre, I would probably take Malakir Familiar. Ruin Processor is also a card I usually like to have. The rest of the cards in this pack aren't amazing. You usually want one Demon's Grasp in a black deck, but yeah, we'll take a Sky Spawner. It's a great first pick. Good, efficient creature. It fits into multiple decks, and that's important. There's a complete disregard here. There's also an Evolving Wilds, which sometimes it's a good idea to prioritize. Also a Silent Skimmer. I'd probably take the Complete Disregard, and we can sort of move into a blue-black deck. Complete Disregard is just a very good card. Would be nice to pick up a Silent Skimmer as well for this deck. Multiple's even better. Same with Ulamog's Spoiler. He's pretty threatening if you actually can get the Exile Ingest thing going. And we have one card that already does. So I think that's what we take. Cryptic Cruiser also fine, but not as good as Complete Disregard. Complete Disregard's enough better that I'd rather commit to black, or, not necessarily commit, but take a black card than take a blue card just because we already have one blue card. So Complete Disregard it is for me. All right. There is a Silent Skimmer here, which is something I said I would like. There's also Tightening Coils. Oh, they already are sorted, of course. Blighted Fen, also worth looking at. Turn Against, a very good card. People just still seem not to expect it and don't play around it, including myself. I sometimes forget it exists and find myself swinging and going, oh my god, if he has Turn Against, he's going to destroy me. Hasn't happened to me yet, but it very well could. But Silent Skimmer or Tightening Coils is our choice here. They're both good cards. I think I take the Skimmer. We already have a Complete Disregard, which is just better removal than Tightening Coils, and Silent Skimmer is just very good. So I think that's what we take. Blighted Fen, like I said, is good too. Wouldn't mind one of those in our deck if we end up blue-black. Okay, Tide Drifter, the exact kind of thing we're looking for, but there's also a Herald of Kozilek, which is pretty tempting, I have to say. We would have to, for sure, branch into a third color if we had that. And maybe it's worth doing that, but Tide Drifter is just very good. We know we're going to play it, at least most likely. Could turn out blue's not super open, but seeing this, pick 4 is pretty late. But the Herald of Kozilek is also very good, and seeing it pick 4 could mean something. I am kind of torn here. I guess I could pick up the Herald, which is an incredibly good card, and try to focus on getting some fixing. Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do. This deck's clearly open, the blue-red deck, and it's very good. We could splash black or go blue-red-black if we get lucky, but the Herald is just too good to pass, I think. And I think that's what we want. No fixing here, but there's a Sludge Crawler and we pick up some processors like this guy we're going to want. It's usually better to pick up Ingesters before processors. You're going to end up with processors more than you end up with Ingesters. At least that's my experience so far. And I think we definitely take the Sludge Crawler here. Retreat to Hogger is only good in the life gain deck. A Cryptic Cruiser wouldn't be bad for our deck. We've seen 2 of them. Maybe one comes back around to us. They're not exactly incredible, so it's possible. But we definitely take a Sludge Crawler here. Right, Blighted Fen, Touch of the Void. Another indication red's pretty open since it's still here. I guess we could just splash blue in the end and go red-black or something and splash blue, but we definitely want Touch of the Void over Blighted Gorge or Horribly Awry. It's too good to pass. Also a pretty big Myers Malice fan. I think I'm higher on it than most people. I see it as a 6-mana 3-for-1 a lot of the time. I've had it work like that for me too, and I like that, but we're definitely taking Touch of the Void here instead. Sylvan Scrying's fixing, but not in our colors. I think I'd take an Oracle of Dust here. It's a fine card. It is a processor, not one of the more amazing ones. There's also a Bone Splinters. If we end up with more Eldrazi Scions, having one of those isn't bad. Having one in general, I don't think is very bad, but I think I'd rather have an Oracle of Dust right now. Okay, Skitter Skin is maybe a little more aggressive than our deck is going, but maybe not. Our deck seems pretty aggressive. It's either the Sentinel or Skitter Skin. Sentinel, another good indication that red is open, especially. Skitter Skin I like, but I also like creatures who can actually block. You know, it is a pretty big setback, even though he's a good beater. I think I'd rather take Kozilek's Sentinel. I've just had it be a really good blocker and a really good attacker for me too many times to overlook it. Skitter Skin's fine too, but I think we go with the Sentinel. If we see Evolving Wilds, we're really going to want them. We'll pick up this Demon Grasp that came back to us over a Skyline Cascade. The Demon's Grasp is, you know, boring removal, but it is removal. Right, well, not a great pack. I'll take a Scour. Hopefully we don't end up needing it. We have 2 Heralds of Kozilek in our deck or something like that. It's a little bit better, but Royal Mage's Trick looks to be fine in our deck, but I bet we'll be able to pick one up later. I'd rather have a Mortuary Mire at this point. Royal Mage's Trick is a pretty good sideboard card, I mean to say. I don't really like mainboarding it. Retreat to Korahelm, pretty bad, so definitely not taking that. Okay, Goblin Warpaint, not really what I want. Neither is Tandem Tactics, even though I think it's a great card that probably should have been taken out of this pack by now since it's a pretty good combat trick. I think I just take an island here. I like to get these, as many of these lands as I can. Not a big doodle for return guy. I'm going to go after some basics here, and we got 4 of them, so that feels pretty good. So blue actually doesn't seem very open. Blue could actually be our 3rd color, even though we first picked a Sky Spawner. But we definitely want to pick up some Evolving Wilds, and any dual lands we see that are our colors, we want to be picking up. Even ones that sort of are around our colors, like just have one of them we may want to consider, because we may want to splash a 3rd color. But we definitely want to try to get this Herald in here. Red's very open. We picked up Kozilek, Sentinel, Touch of the Void, and Herald of Kozilek all really late. Okay, Conduit of Ruin is a pretty great card, as is Brood Monitor. Those are definitely the 2 best cards in this pack. No Evolving Wilds, no fixing in our colors. I think we probably just take the Conduit. I've drafted him a million times, and I feel like a million times he's been on my draft videos too, but it's not really a million, obviously. Something like 3, though, I think. I think he's probably who we take here. We'll probably end up with at least one thing he can search for, and if we're lucky, maybe more. Although we're not the most rampy deck, but 1 Ruin Processor seems good. But blue really doesn't seem open, so ingesting things may not really happen too often with our deck. But we'll have to see what happens. The other cards in this pack, like Adverse Conditions, is okay. But, you know, I'm not guaranteeing we'll be playing a lot of blue other than for the Herald. Demon's Grasp is okay too, but as we saw, we got one back last time. I think we just take the Conduit. He's a big creature with some upside, and that's fine with me. The Brood Monitor is probably the best card in that pack. Okay, well, we have a Barrage Tyrant here, which is going to be good in our deck based on its makeup so far. So I think that's who we take. I would like to get a Looming Spires, but rather than that, this pack doesn't have much for us. 1 Tightening Coils wouldn't hurt either, but I think we just go for the Tyrant. The big bad Tyrant who can remove things. Okay, well, there's an Exert Influence still here, which makes me say going 3 colors is probably what we want to do. A Sky Spawner and an Incubator Drone still here, but Exert Influence is super powerful. We do need to pick up Fixing to make it work, but I'm fairly confident we can pick up at least some, so we'll take Exert Influence there. Look at that. There's some fixing. Sunken Hollow in 2 of our colors, so we're pretty happy about that. Blighted Cataract, something that you almost always want one of in every blue deck you make, and that includes this one. But the fixing's more important for us right now. The other cards in this pack aren't really worth anything to us other than the Cataract. So, I mean, I like Ghostly Sentinel, just to talk about cards that are off color. I like Core Castigator. I like Calastrian Nightwatch. Those are probably the other good cards in this pack, but definitely go for the Hollow here. Okay, Dampening Pulse is a card I really like. And I think it's probably what I take here. An Eldrazi Devastator can be found with Conduit of Ruin, but I'm not overly impressed with Eldrazi Devastator. Mindraker's okay, but not great. I think I just go for the Pulse here. We are struggling to get Ingesters, so processors aren't as good as you'd think they would be in a deck like this. So far, our blue cards are fine, even if we don't have, ingest going on, but they're not amazing. So we will get a dampening pulse there. Okay, Malakir familiar. He's not incredible in our deck. He doesn't have the upside that he has in a life gain deck, but he's the best card that's left here, I'd say. Rush of Ice is good too, but Malakir familiar, very good, and we'll take it. Okay, Titan's Presence. How many colorless creatures do we have? And how many of them have decent power? A decent number of them. I think we take it. I think this is the deck for it. Hagra Sharpshooter is good too, but Titan's Presence has more upside and it'll fit into our deck easily, I think, and well. So I think we take it. Okay. Grave Birthing's worth considering. It gives us a way to get creatures, turn on in, processors in a greater way than otherwise. Coral Helm Guide's fine, but I think picking up a Grave Birthing so that we can feel a little more confident picking up something with that's a processor, like a rare, especially if we get one, is probably a good idea. Wow, this Brood Monitor is still here. People really hate green these days in this format, and that's a pretty good reflection of that, because Brood Monitor is ridiculous. Maybe I should just be drafting green. I have had success lately when I've been drafting green, because it's been so open. Blister Pod, Brood Monitor, both good cards. So it's either Looming Spires or Demon's Grasp. And I'm kind of leaning towards the Spires, believe it or not. We already have one Grasp. I mean, it's not an incredible card. So Looming Spires has a little more upside. I think another Mortuary Miner is fine for us. Boiling Earth is a good sideboard card against the deck with a lot of, Eldrazi Scions. We'll take a Dispel for the sideboard here. I think that is a good idea. So we don't have a whole lot of fixing yet. We have the one Sunken Hollow. And red hasn't seemed nearly as open coming from this side. Other than the Barrage Tyrant, we haven't seen a red card really worth taking. So it kind of seems like red's back to being our tertiary color. And we have primary and secondary colors in blue and black, but we'll see what happens. The Sunken Hollow does help fixing, but I would also like 1 to 2 Evolving Wilds and or a Pilgrim's Eye, like ideally. So we can hope for that, I guess. How much is Sunken Hollow worth anyway? 3 tickets too, so value, and it works in our deck. Something we want for our deck. I mean, there's a chance this Sentinel gets cut and we leave the other red stuff in. Like, we're just not going to be able to play the Sentinel on turn 2 real consistently, unless we pick up some more fixing. I'll take a Geyser Field Stalker. He's playable. He's not amazing, but, he could make our deck if we're struggling on playables. Same thing for Grave Birthing, really. It stands a good chance to get cut. But like I said, it does allow us to process. Right now we have Sludge Crawler, Titan's Presence, and Complete Disregard that can exile things. Vampiric Rites, this is not the deck for, so I'm going to go after some lands here on the last couple picks. But yeah, I could see cutting the Sentinel and having red be, a secondary, tertiary, rather, color. Canopy Vista is good, but it is not the colors we want. On the other hand, Ruination Guide is what we want. There's a Complete Disregard here too, which is very tempting, but our deck's almost all colorless creatures, so this will pump most of our creatures, and it has Ingest, so if we get processors later, it'll turn those on. A Ruin Processor would be great, and I may try to prioritize picking one up here late, but I think it's the Ruination Guide. Canopy Vista is one of the ones that's not worth very much, I believe. Yeah, it's about 2 tickets. If it worked in our deck or was even one of the colors in our deck, I might think about taking it. But I think we just, especially because we have Exert Influence, but I think we just take Ruination Guide here. We have so many 3-drops. Other cards of note, I think I mentioned them all. Ruination Guide, Complete Disregard, Ruin Processor. Those are all pretty good cards, but we'll take that. Ooh, Fathom Feeder. Hello. That is what our deck is. And there's luckily not an Evolving Wilds here. Otherwise, that might have been harder. But we definitely go for the Fathom Feeder. Right now, we don't have a single processor other than Oracle of Dust. But hopefully we can pick one up. Kind of looking like we can really just splash blue for like Herald of Kozilek. Although splash red is what I mean to say. Although Barrage Tyrant and yeah, no, probably not. We'd probably want more than that. Halimar Tidecaller, very good card, but we don't have anything with Awaken as far as I can think of. And there's an Eldrazi Sky Spawner here, which is very good. Bone Splinters isn't something I would mind having, especially now that we have 2 Sky Spawners. But we take the Sky Spawner here for sure. So this probably gets cut, and we make red. We splash red for these 3 cards, and we may even cut the touch if we end up with some other removal. Seems like what I'm going to do anyway. I would love a Ruin Processor. Let's get one of those. Fathom Feeder is much better if you actually have a way of taking advantage, of processing things. Okay, well, there's another Kozilek Sentinel. There's also another Oracle of Dust, but Kozilek Sentinel is way better. We also don't have a whole lot of 2-drops, so it's kind of what I'm leaning towards. Seems like all the Evolving Wilds are being scooped up, unfortunately for us. Yes, there's not one here either. Swarm Surge actually seems good in this deck, though. So I think that's what we'll take. You need a fair amount of colorless creatures to make it work, and we have them. So I think we go for the Swarm Surge. Okay, another Death. Oh, good. Ruin Processor. That's what I want. We can search for it with Conduit of Ruin. That's a good synergy. And we're going to have probably exiled something. So gaining 5 is pretty huge. It gives you time to win with Ruin Processor. Retreat to Hagra, not great in our deck. We need some life gain synergies, which we have one of. We do have one Malakir Familiar, but not really feeling it. Ooh, man. Kind of wish we were in that deck right now. It's really only good if you have a bunch of Eldrazi Scions, and we just don't. But we're about to pick up another card that makes them in Carrier Thrall, I think. Myers Malice is also good, but I think I like Carrier Thrall more for this deck. It's a good early beater that makes a colorless creature that can have synergies with various other things we have going on. I think we probably lose the Stalker. We probably don't want Grave Birthing anymore. We probably have enough things that can exile going on. We do need to look at our mana some, especially because we're not getting the things we'd really like. I kind of am leaning towards Bone Splinters here. We may run one. We do have 3 Scion producers now, so it's a little better than it was early. Yeah, I'll take a Bone Splinters. Okay, Mindraker, not really what we want. I don't mind a Skyline Cascade, though. Yeah, Evolving Wilds were snatched up early and often by people. I think I just take another Looming Spires here over, like, a Demon's Grasp. Though maybe we want that removal. I don't know. I don't think so, though. I think I'm happy with what we have, and Looming Spires can help us beat down a little better. Okay. I think I'll take an Oran Rifle Invoker away from someone. Even though green, as I said, is not heavily drafted, that is a good green card, or a decent one. Taking 2-drops away from people is usually not a bad thing. We are going to have some mana struggles here, so do have some decisions to make. Black, I guess, is what we have the most of. Okay, here I think I'll just take an island. Another Grave Birthing. I don't think we're even going to play the 1, so we'll take a Sandstone Bridge away from somebody, and we'll take that as well. Probably means white was pretty open, I guess, if there was a Sandstone Bridge floating around. Lots of non-basics in our deck. As many as we can have, basically. An Evolving Wilds would have been great. We didn't get it. We do have the 1 Sunken Hollow that helps us fix, which is pretty relevant. But we do need to think about our mana here some. We need to cut one more card, and I think it's probably a good idea to cut a red card because, well, let's sort by color here. Luckily, we do have several straight-up colorless cards. Okay, so black is what we have the most of by a lot. Red, we have the least of by a decent amount, but we do have this Herald, and for black, we also have this, really, too. So we have 3 straight-up colorless cards. It's hard to say what I should cut. It probably should be these Sentinels, sadly. I should probably cut both of them. The other cards, if we're not going to be able to run in that many mountains, which we're not, the other cards, like Touch of the Void, Herald of Kozilek, and Barrage Tyrant, are all good, even if I can't play them as soon as possible. Herald of Kozilek's better. Oh, did not mean to do that. If you can play it as soon as possible, of course. But I think cutting the 2 Sentinels is probably right, and we need to look at adding something else from our sideboard, like probably a Geyser Field Stalker or a Grave Birthing. Grave Birthing. We really only have 2 processors, and one of them's not very good. I mean, it's fine, you know, but its body is what's more important. You know, 5 mana 3/5 is pretty solid. But I mean, the thing about the Sentinel that was nice is that they had synergy with our Swarm Surge, for example. But yeah, I'm leaning towards the Geyser Field Stalker here. You know, it's fine. It's not exciting, but yeah, I think that's what we take. Yeah, this thing's good even if you don't have a lot of processors, though it would be better if we did. But yeah, it's a pretty good card. So we put all these in, which gives us 2 red sources already. Probably want to run 2 more mountains. But that's it. So we'll only have 4 red sources and not that many ways to dig for them. So I think it's a good idea to cut those Sentinels. And I don't think we need quite like that. And I think we have 6 blue sources right now. So that doesn't seem like enough to me. We have 8 red ones. I mean, black ones. But I guess it probably is. We don't have any double blue. Most of our blue spells are good no matter when we cast them too, although Sky Spawner and Ruination Guide are better if you're curving out, obviously. So yeah, I think this is... I think we need 1 more land, actually. We do. Question is, what land do I want it to be? Oop. That is not what I meant to do. There we go. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 black sources. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 blue sources. I think it should probably be an island. We have enough important blue cards. Both are gold cards, for example. So yeah, an island. Island seems good. All right. Well, this is definitely a deck where if we get our mana the right way, we'll be pretty happy, but we may struggle to do so. Question is whether I still want Bone Splinters in here. Or, yeah, I think I do. I think it's nice enough to be able to like sacrifice a Carrier Thrall with the Bone Splinters and take down a Ruin Processor, just as an example. That it's worth having 1 Bone Splinters in this deck. And we do have 3 ways of making Scions, so it's better if you have even more, of course. But all right, I think this is our deck. We'll see how it does. It is the red, blue, black deck, which I think is pretty strong, but our fixing is not strong, so we'll see what happens. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like, comment, and